Hello, this is Dr. Castleberry, Associate Professor, Program Director of Communication, Media, and Ethics, Course Instructor for COM 4413, Communication and Cultural Change. We kicked off the course this week and initiated our 5-week quest to explore communication and cultural change in a media studies direction. And specifically, we're looking at media history through the lens of television. And so we're working our way through studying television from its infancy up until the present, and it's going to be a quick journey. We got a lot of ground to cover, and we're trying to do as much of that as possible in person. But we can only get so far each week, and not everyone necessarily can join us. And so we're looking for ways to close those gaps. All right, I know it's a little bit of a bumpy week one, but hopefully all subsequent weeks will be able to get better and better each week. Okay, so let me do this. Let me start with a quick recap of what we covered for those that were unable to attend, and possibly looking at more of an asynchronous journey. All right, so trying to maybe keep pace with us independently, and that's okay. That's our goal. Our goal is to be okay with that and provide solutions in the course. So that's where we are at. We had an opening conversation, quite robust, quite long, about television's influence for us. And certainly if you have checked out either of our primary books for the course, although I know there are 3 listed, but we talked about a pair of primary texts, specifically Jason Mattel's Television and American Culture. This is going to give you a great foray. If you can really set time aside each week to read from that, it's just going to feed you in a number of directions. It's well written and well regarded by students past in the major that have had this course before. A new book to our course curriculum is one that we've borrowed from. It's provided some inspirations here and there, and it's much more of a kind of a casual coffee table read, if you will. And in fact, it's very casually priced if you look it up independently online. That's TV, the book. And really what it is a series of almost blog style, but definitely conversational talks about television, some of the best programs ever in terms of their cultural appeal, in terms of their aesthetic ingenuity. And to be the book, it's just going to be a refresher. And if there's a show on there you're looking, it's been on your queue but you haven't seen it, and they write about it, be careful, because they're likely to maybe spoil some of its key moments, right? But if you're okay with that, then read on. That's going to be a book. We're not trying to read this entire book in 5 weeks. Don't worry. But I think this is going to be the kind of thing, if you've ever kind of been in and out of the loop with television, if you grew up around TV or you have some old favorites, you're going to like some of the conversations that they start. And that's to be inspirational for us, because we want to start some conversations about TV. We have different ways of starting conversations about TV. When we meet in class, we'll have discussions. We had a rich discussion, a couple of them this week in week 1, and we'll certainly plan to continue those in subsequent weeks. If you're online, if you're able to join us live, and we'll try to check those Zoom feeds right at the start of the hour, then you can certainly join in from where you are at. If you have to join in asynchronously, it's just not a good night, you can't quite make it with us, then there are other ways to join a conversation, and that would be through the written discussion in D2L. There are those written discussions, and then there's also a weekly video discussion, I believe, that's set aside. We're not necessarily using former video prompts. Instead, what I'm going to suggest and recommend is that you all that are coming in asynchronously, that is to say doing it on your own time, the suggestion is you will use some of the questions that we're providing as prompts in the classroom to guide your response. And it can be a video response. Ideally, it'd be great to hear from you in terms of just make a quick recording and then maybe upload it to a YouTube channel. Our MacU email is Gmail based, and so that comes with a free and accessible YouTube account that you can synchronize with your Gmail. And then all you have to do is log into your email like normal and have YouTube up, and you can synchronize the two, and your videos can go back and forth, back and forth. It's just a really easy way once you get into the habit, okay? And so I mentioned, I showed this printout of questions, but what I can do is I'll paste these questions into the news feed, all right? So you can check the news feed. That's where this video is gonna be, but you can check the news feed for questions, and I'll try to be good about including digital versions of those questions each week so that we're all kind of on the same page in terms of how we're steering discussion, what we're talking about. If you miss a class, one of the things you can do is just go back and maybe catch online on a streaming service, or maybe a quick rental, the episodes of TV that we look at and dissect. And it just gives you an independent way to be a part of that conversation. In week 1, we have these texts in bold that we essentially chose between because we were a little bit condensed on time. But we looked at I Love Lucy, season 1, episode 30, entitled Lucy Does a TV Commercial, end quote. And that's the episode title. You can find this on Hulu right now for free. So if you're subscribed to Hulu, you can get it for free. Another show that's on Hulu and used to be on Netflix for years and years, but I know it's on Hulu, is The Twilight Zone. If I would have had just a little bit more time in class, we would have looked at season 1, episode 22. The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Both of these, I Love Lucy, a show coming out of the 50s. Twilight Zone, a program from the 1960s. And those were the decades we were trying to tackle in week 1. Well, in an effort to expedite covering TV history, right, to really jump through that, we had a bit of a tool, a media tool, to help us in the form of a docuseries. And more than a docuseries, a docuseries episode, but the docuseries is the 60s, and is from Tom Hanks' production company, Playtone. And this was a docuseries that originally aired on CNN a number of years ago, and it was pretty critically acclaimed, and it's extremely well done. But the first episode of that season of the 60s is about television in American history, and it's just a perfect gateway into these conversations that we're going to have. All right, next item of business. When we're watching these clips, or maybe occasionally some episodes, or maybe the parts, excerpts from the docuseries, that sort of thing, or whether we're in group together or whether you're doing it independently, it's great to take some notes. You can type those out, certainly if you're just at home and doing that sort of thing. But if you're in the classroom and you're just looking for an old-fashioned handy tool, it can be a great idea to grab an old, like a paper notebook somewhere, or rather a journal. Notebooks can kind of get busted up, but a small journal can give you a place to just kind of focus your attention, focus your ideas. I like to take notes here and there, and it gives me fresh things to talk about. It also gives me it helps my memory stay sharp, in other words, so that I can stay focused on the show, but just quickly jot something down that I hope to come back to later, right? An observation, something I want to comment on. And that helps us clear up any dead space where we feel like we're searching for ideas instead of just having them ready to go. So something like that can be helpful. Whether you're just copying some notes down, or typing up maybe a response, or maybe even a video response. I'm great with all 3 of those in this more experimental mode. I think we can use that to satisfy what is listed in the course online as a weekly genre analysis. And really, we won't cover formal genre theory in this class, but one thing we do want to become more familiar with is the distinction between TV genres and their particular conventions. We'll talk about that every week, and I think that kind of information that we have, right, is perfect material to situate into essentially what we could call a, TV genre journal or something like that. But that's a secondary assignment that you can kind of put together and then submit each week. And then our real focus will be 3 main projects. And the video syllabus episodes break down those 3 main projects, and there will be more information to come. In fact, it's probably already available on D2L if we've looked around for those 3 main projects. The first one's going to be coming up in week 3, not next week, but week 3, and we are going to have an anatomy of a scene presentations where you all will present on a clip, a sequence, and then break it down for us. But we're not going to go into that heavy detail. This is just a quick video to recap what we did and then look ahead. Next week in class, we will at least cover the 1970s in television history. We will try to also get into the 80s a little bit and see how far we can go. If we have a rebound plan, if we can't get that far, but I think we can get close. But we'll definitely tackle the 1970s. We'll look at some more media, have a good conversation. Look forward to hearing from others. Bring your ideas. If you have clip ideas in mind, but you're just unsure, let's talk about it. Let's talk it out. Let's just be sure they're clips that we can access, that we can find and then show later, okay? I will try to include some, maybe some extra questions or things like that in the newsfeed from time to time or in handouts in class. And that could be material. Think of that as raw material you can use to go, I don't know, fulfill that genre journal, or if you're online with this or needing to make up a week of class if you have to miss, use that to fill in those video discussion points, okay? So that everyone's has opportunity to get credit. If you didn't get a chance to join us live, we missed you, but we hope we'll have a chance to do this again each week. If you were there, thanks so much for being present, being a part of the class, of a kind of co-learning situation. And I'm excited to explore more about television history and television form with you all in the weeks to come. COM 4413, Communication and Cultural Change.